Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 23. Text number 16 onwards. 14 to 16. Okay. We'll do 14 to 21. All the purports are quite small. So I'll read by myself verses 14 to 20. 21 we will chant together. Divyopakaranopētam sarvakala sukhavaham pattikābhihi patākābhir vichitrābhiralankritam sragbhir vichitramalябhir manjusinjat shadangribihi dukulakshaumakauseyair nānāvastrair virajitam. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The castle was fully equipped with all necessary paraphernalia, and it was pleasing in all seasons. It was decorated all around with flags, festoons, and artistic work of variegated colors. It was further embellished with wreaths of charming flowers that attracted sweetly humming bees, and with tapestries of linen, silk, and various other fabrics. Text number 16. Do we have the further verses also? You have or don't have? Will you be able to display up to 21? Okay. Verse number 16, I'll read by myself. Upari vinyasta nilayeshu prithak prithak kshiptaihi kachipubihi kantam paryanka vyajanasanaihi. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The palace looked charming with beds, couches, fans and seats, all separately arranged in 7 stories. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is understood from this verse that the castle had many stories. The words Upari Vinyasta indicate that skyscrapers are not newly invented. Even in those days, millions of years ago, the idea of building many-storied houses was current. They contained not merely 1 or 2 rooms, but many different apartments, and each was completely decorated with cushions, bedsteads, sitting places, and carpets. Text number 17. Tatra tatra vinikshipta nana silpopashobhitam mahamarakata sthalya jushtam vidrumavedibihi. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Its beauty was enhanced by artistic engravings here and there on the walls. The floor was of emerald with coral daisies. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. At the present moment, people are very proud of their architectural art, yet floors are generally decorated with colored cement. It appears, however, that the castle constructed by the yogic powers of Karda Mumuni had floors of emerald with coral daisies. Text number 18. Dvasu vidruma dehalya bhatam vajra kapatavat shikareshu indra nileshu hema kumbhairadhishtritam. Translation. The palace was very beautiful with its coral thresholds at the entrances and its doors bedecked with diamonds. Gold pinnacles crowned its domes of sapphire. Text 19. Chakshumat padma ragagriyair vajrabhittishu nirmitaihi jushtam vichitra vaitanair maharhair hematoranaihi. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. With the choicest rubies set in its diamond walls, it appeared as though possessed of eyes. It was furnished with wonderful canopies and generally and greatly valuable gates of gold. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Artistic jewelry and decorations giving the appearance of eyes are not imaginary. Even in recent times, the Mughal emperors constructed their palaces with decorations of jeweled birds with eyes made of valuable stones. The stones have been taken away by the authorities, but the decorations are still present in some of the castles constructed by the Mughal emperors in New Delhi. The royal palaces were built with jewels and rare stones resembling eyes, and thus at night they would give off reflective light without need of lamps. Text number 20. Hamsaparavata vratai satra tatra nikujitam kritriman manyamanaihi swan adiruhya. Translation. Here and there in that palace were multitudes of live swans and pigeons, as well as artificial swans and pigeons, so lifelike that the real swans rose above them again and again, thinking them live birds like themselves. Thus, the palace vibrated with the sounds of these birds. Text 21. We will chant this together. Vihara Sthana Vishtrama Vihara Sthana Vishtrama Vihara Sthana Vishtrama Samvesa Prangana Ajiraihi Samvesa Prangana Ajiraihi Samvesa Prangana Ajiraihi Yatha Upajosham Rachitair Yathopajosham Rachitair Yathopajosham Rachitair Vismapanam Iva Atmanaha Vismapanam Ivatmanaha Vismapanam Ivatmanaha Viharasthana Vishrama Samvesa Pranganajiraihi Yathopajosham Rachitair Vismapanamivatmanaha Viharasthana Vishrama Samvesa Pranganajiraihi Yathopajosham Rachitair Vismapanamivatmanaha. Viharasthana, pleasure grounds. Vishtrama, resting chambers. Samvesa, bedrooms. Prangana, inner yards. Ajiraihi, with outer yards. Yatha upajosham, according to comfort. Rachitaihi, which were designed. Vismapanam, causing astonishment. Eva, indeed. Atmanaha, to himself. Kardama. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The castle had pleasure grounds, resting chambers, bedrooms, and inner and outer yards, designed with an eye to comfort. All this caused astonishment to the sage himself. Kindly repeat. The castle had pleasure grounds, resting chambers, bedrooms, and inner and outer yards, designed with an eye to comfort. All this caused astonishment to the sage himself. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Kardama Muni, being a saintly person, was living in a humble hermitage. But when he saw the palace constructed by his yogic powers, which was full of resting rooms, rooms for sex enjoyment, and inner and outer yards, he himself was astonished. That is the way of a God-gifted person. A devotee like Kardama Muni exhibited such opulence by his yogic power at the request of his wife. But when the opulence was produced, he himself could not understand how such manifestations could be possible. When a yogi's power is exhibited, the yogi himself is sometimes astonished. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjanachalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mokam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Modern day society presumes that it is very advanced compared to all the civilizations of the past. There have been many civilizations, Roman civilization, Greek civilization, etc., etc. The Mughals, at one point of time, they were predominating. So like this, there have been many civilizations which have come and gone. The present civilization is at the cusp of scientific advancement. Never before in history have we seen in the human civilization such a great use of technology and science, because of which there are many inventions, many equipment by which we can achieve wonderful things which were hitherto considered impossible. Travel, for example, from one place to another. Earlier people used to go by bullock carts, horse-drawn carriages, etc. And it would take long time to travel from one place to another. Now because of the motor cars, travel has become so fast. If we want to go from here to Srirangam in 5 hours, we can go. Trains, buses, all have made transportation very fast. Communication revolution is another thing. We have mobile phones, we have tablets, laptops, computers, projectors, televisions, because of which we can see and we can speak to somebody who is thousands of kilometers away. Somebody who is on the other half of the planet, we can immediately pick up the phone, do a video call and see the person face to face and also hear him, talk to him live. And we also have live telecasts, just like yesterday we had Radhashtami. The whole festival, we are able to telecast it live on our YouTube channel. So somebody who is not in Chennai, who is outside, who is in another part of the country, he can sit, he can open his mobile or computer or whatever, go into YouTube and he can see live what is happening. He can participate in the festival. So like this, science has invented many things. All these things were not there earlier. Olden times, communication used to be by word of mouth, or somebody will write a letter and somebody has to carry by hand from one place to another. That would all take long time. But now communication is all instant. You want to communicate something to someone, immediately pick up the phone and talk to him. Right there, communication has happened. Similarly, flying by aircraft is another thing which has revolutionized travel all over the world. So, where were aircraft earlier? Aeroplanes, helicopters, and these kind of flying machines were invented only in the early part of the 20th century. About 100 years ago only, aircraft was invented. Before that, people did not know that people could fly. It would be possible to use the laws of buoyancy to be able to float something very heavy in air, carrying hundreds of people. Modern day aircraft, they can carry 300 people, 400 people in one aeroplane. So, before the Wright brothers invented the aeroplane, people did not know that we could fly, and so many people could be carried in an aircraft. Or so it seems. So, modern day aircraft, if we see, the moment you get inside the aircraft, there are well organized seats. You have to go and occupy your seat, wear a seat belt, and during the journey, how many hours, whatever it may take, you are expected to remain seated and wear your seat belt for your safety. And once in a while, you feel that you want to use the washroom, that washroom facility is also there. You can go and use it. But that also, while taking off and landing, it is restricted. And if there is turbulence in the air, then also the pilot will say, wear your seat belts, don't get out of your seats, and things like that. So, we have one experience of flying machines in the current day civilization, and we consider that it is very, very advanced. Of course, there are people who are very, very rich, affluent people, billionaires, who will have private jet, who will have their own private jet. In that, the facilities will be more. There will be a facility for the person to lie down if he wants. There will be table and chair where he can sit and do his work, or he can have his food and such other things. So, but those are very limited and very few people can access that. Now, in these verses of the Bhagavatam, we are seeing how Kardama Muni had his own private jet. But that private jet was not like the jets of today, which have limited flying capability. They need fueling from time to time. They need a pilot to navigate the aircraft. There has to be permission from the airport authority. So many conditions under which the aircraft flies, and the aircraft cannot keep on flying unlimitedly. After a few kilometers, it has to touch down, refuel, only then it can again fly. But Kardama Muni's private jet, it did not require any fuel to run. It was running on the fuel of his yogic power. And internally, we are seeing here, it was practically like a city. It was bedecked with all sorts of jewels, adorned with pillars of precious stones, and there were big palaces. There was a castle on that aeroplane. And what kind of castle? A skyscraper castle, 7-storied in those days. Even 7 stories would have been a skyscraper in those days. But even today, we may be building 100-story skyscrapers, but all of them are on land, are on the earth. Is anybody building a skyscraper in the sky? Nobody can build. Nobody can even dream of that. But Kardama Muni's castle, his skyscraper, 7-storied castle, was built in the air. It did not require a foundation on the ground. It did not require RCC and steel, structural design. None of those things were required. Simply by his yogic power, Kardama Muni created this wonderful castle. It was astonishing. And it was full of valuable jewels, gold, diamonds, all these things were decorating the palace. And the palace was also very nicely designed. The architectural layout of the palace was very nicely designed with an eye to keep the comfort of the residents very high. And we will see also there were ponds, there were lakes, and as it is described here, it was filled with swans, it was filled with pigeons. There were both artificial and live. And the artificial pigeons and swans were also so lifelike that the real pigeons and swans were thinking these are actual real swans and pigeons. So modern day aircraft, you cannot carry pigeons and the swans and all that on your aircraft. That's all. You will need so many permissions, and you will have to put it into a basket, and you cannot carry it in the same space where all the passengers have to travel. Recently, there was one. Somebody shared a video. One woman walked into an aircraft. This is somewhere in the US, and she carried her dog with her, and she made the dog sit next to her. Then the aircraft people came before taking off, and they said, "Do you have special permission to take this dog?" She said, "No, this dog goes everywhere with me." Then the aircraft people did not allow. They forcibly took the dog out. And then she could not be without her dog, so she had also to exit. And she was shouting and she was very angry, but she could not do anything. So modern day aircraft, they have a lot of restrictions. But look at Kardama Muni's aircraft, all filled with pigeons, swans, lakes, castles, and all with all gold and jewels and all these kind of things. So this, when we hear these descriptions, it seems astonishing. It seems amazing how such a wonderful thing can happen. How powerful Kardama Muni must be to be able to create something just by his willing. In fact, it is mentioned here, Vismapanam iva atmanaha. This was astonishing even to Kardama Muni himself. Kardama Muni, who created that wonderful flying gazelle in the air, he himself was astonished seeing what he had created. So, this kind of power that Kardama Muni exhibited is certainly astonishing, not only for all the people in general, but even for himself. We can see how in this world there are many people who can perform different kinds of activities with their abilities, which are amazing for the common mass of people. We have Olympics, and whenever there is an Olympics game, many people come together and there are many events. Long jump, high jump, then there is javelin throw, there is 100-meter sprint, then there is long distance running, kilometers marathon. So many people come and participate, and few people win some medals. And we hear about, oh, this is the fastest man in the world. He ran 100 meters in 9 seconds and so many milliseconds. If we run 100 meters, we'll take, I don't know, half a minute or a minute to cover. But that man is able to do it in under 10 seconds. So how he is able to do, nobody else can do. Likewise, somebody is running a marathon, so many kilometers. And one point of time in history, it was considered that to run a certain distance, it would take a minimum of this much time. But there was one person who ran certain number of miles. I don't remember how many miles. He did it in some certain time. Some what was that, 4 hours or something like that, which was unthinkable at that time. Since then, of course, many people have bettered that record. So records are set, and when a record is set, we think, oh, this is an unbeatable record. But then after a few years, somebody else comes and he breaks that record. And then everyone is astonished, oh my God, how can he do this? And they'll do various analysis, what kind of training he did, what kind of practices he did, what kind of abilities he has got, the way his body is formed. So many things they will analyze, and these are all contributing factors for this man to be able to set so many records. Like we have Michael Phelps in swimming. They say that congenitally he has got a structure in his body by which he is able to swim much faster than others. And he wins in Olympics like 10 or 20 medals every Olympics. So these are all powers which some people exhibit, which common people you cannot find. Normally you would not find such powers. Then there are people who have got great brain power, very intelligent, very sharp scientists, philosophers, these kind of people. The way they think, the way they are able to comprehend complex subject matter and to be able to come out with various theories, etc. Like we have Einstein, scientists like Einstein, Hawkins, and all such people. So when we look at all these people, we marvel, oh, such an intelligent person he is. Then there are others who wield great influence upon people with their political power and clout. And when we look at them, we see this man is a real charismatic leader. How people flock after him. Whatever he says, whatever he does, people are ready to follow. Not easy to make, to influence people to be able to make them follow what you want them to. But there are some people who are very charismatic and who are able to. Not everybody can do. So when they give a speech, hundreds and thousands of people come and attend, and they will all get inspired by his words. There are so many political leaders, orators, we can see this happening. So all such powers we can see amongst various people, and also we can see even within material nature there are many, many wonderful things that happen. When you look at the ocean, you can see such a large mass of water, and in that large mass of water, to be able to keep that water fresh and to avoid formation of algae and the water becoming stale and all those kind of things, so much salt has been added into it, and that salt water remains fresh, and huge tons and tons and tons of water. Can you imagine? Nobody can measure the quantity of water in one ocean. And there are so many oceans like that. So, when we look at an ocean, it is awe-inspiring. You look at mountains like the Himalayas. When we go on pilgrimage for Chardham Yatra or something like that. I had gone for Yatra to Gangotri and Yamunotri. So, when we were going to Gangotri, there were the roads, which go through all the ghats and mountains and all that. After a certain distance, the driver pointed out, see, look there, that is the peak of the Himalayas. And he showed in the distance, there was the Himalayas rising above the clouds and filled with, you could see from the distance, it was snow-capped, white in color. So, that, and then as we proceeded towards Gangotri, as we got closer and closer, we could see the Bhagirathi flowing, and there were as we drew closer to the Himalayas, there were huge rocks, huge boulders, huge caves, and as we got closer and closer, the magnitude of the Himalayas started hitting us. Very, very awe-inspiring. So, these kind of wonderful things we can see in material nature, which can inspire awe in our hearts, which will leave us dumbstruck, which are amazing, astonishing, how material nature has created such wonderful things. Actually, all such wonderful things, powers, abilities, phenomena in material nature that we see, they are all actually coming from one single source. Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gita, Yad yad vibhutimat sattvam Srimad urjitam evava Tattadeva vagachatvam mama tejomsha sambhavam. Krishna tells Arjuna that yadyad vibhutimat sattvam, whatever in existence you are seeing, which is vibhutimat, which is full of opulence, which is full of awe-inspiring power of or magnitude, that we have to understand. Mama tejomsha sambhavam, Krishna says, it is born out of a spark of my splendor. So everything wonderful that we see in nature and in people around us, we have to understand that it is all originating from Krishna, who is the source of everything wonderful. In fact, in reality, whatever we see in this material world is a manifestation of the external energy of Krishna, Bahiranga Shakti. And that Bahiranga Shakti is actually only 1/4 of the energy of Krishna. And that 1/4 Bahiranga Shakti of Krishna, Krishna tells in the Bhagavad-gita, it is Apara Shakti, it is the inferior energy of Krishna. That inferior energy of Krishna itself is so wonderful, so fascinating, so astounding. You can imagine the rest 3/4 energy of Krishna, his Antaranga Shakti, his superior energy, Parashakti, how much more wonderful and astonishing it must be. So, Kardama Muni manifesting his yogic power and producing something wonderful, it is actually not Kardama Muni himself who is doing. It is the power of Krishna which is manifesting. And therefore, Kardama Muni himself is astonished by seeing his creation. Otherwise, if Kardama Muni was creating with his own power, why should he feel astonished? There is no need for him to feel astonished. The very fact that the yogic powers which he has attained, which is coming from Krishna, he is capable of doing such wonderful things, even Kardama Muni was not aware. And so, when he saw the wonderful things, wonderful manifestation which came from the yogic power, which he had derived by his devotion to the Supreme Lord, he became amazed. So, this when a person demonstrates some specific power, there are two kinds of powers that a person may exhibit. What Kardama Muni was exhibiting was a vibhuti. Vibhuti means it is a specific power or ability or talent which a person may possess, which we can see even in the material world, so many people possess. Scientists, sportsmen, politicians, orators, we find so many people like that, who have power and ability which common people don't possess. That is called vibhuti. So the Lord, according to the punya karma of the living entity, he may invest that vibhuti in some people, and that gets displayed, and when it is displayed, it is very attractive for the people. There is another class of people who also display amazing, wonderful things which nobody can display, which common people cannot display. Like, for example, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, how he went to the United States at the age of 69 years with only 40 rupees in his hand and a trunk of books. And that 40 rupees also, because in America it cannot be used, he could not use it. From 1965 to 68, that 40 rupees Prabhupada kept with himself. He could not use it. And then like this, he went to the West. And if we analyze from a material perspective, what did Prabhupada bring with him to the West? Practically nothing. An old gentleman, his English also heavily accented with Bengali, with that Bengali accent, which we ourselves, Indians ourselves, find it difficult to sometimes comprehend. Imagine the Westerners, for them to be able to comprehend. And that too, why would they hear a poor sannyasi who is coming from India, that too an old gentleman? So, if we look at it from the material perspective, the odds were all heavily stacked against Prabhupada. That Prabhupada could do anything in the US was something which was inconceivable. That is why when Prabhupada wanted to go to the West, he wanted to go to the US, he approached Mrs. Morarji and he asked her that he wanted a free passage in her ship, cargo ship from India to the US. And she told Prabhupada, "You are an old man, why do you want, what is this, pagal ho gaya, you're mad or what? Why do you want to go to the US and all? You will go there and you will die. It is so cold there, you will not get proper food, you don't have any money, what will you do there?" So in her mind, the conclusion was foregone, that Prabhupada would go there and the only result will be he will die. He cannot do anything. It is not possible for him to do anything. Materially, if you see, it was impossible. But Prabhupada went, and within the next 11 years, Prabhupada established 108 temples all over the world. Prabhupada wrote 60 volumes of books, in which translation and commentary on the Bhagavad-gita, Bhagavatam, which has 18,000 verses, Chaitanya Charitamrita, these were also included. These are all masterpieces. And Prabhupada, not only this, gave almost 5,000 to 6,000 hours of lectures on Bhagavad-gita and Bhagavatam. Prabhupada wrote almost 5,000 to 6,000 letters to his disciples, directing them how to manage the moment, answering philosophical questions, giving directions, guidance. Can you imagine all this? And more, about 3,000 or 4,000 hours of conversations with different people, with his disciples, with eminent people of the society like scientists, fathers, religious heads, giving interviews to various media. It is unimaginable that somebody can do this volume of work. But Prabhupada did all that in 11 years from the age of 69 years. 69 to 81, Prabhupada did all this. It is practically unimaginable. That is why Sumati Morarji also, when Prabhupada came back, she was also astonished. She said, my God, you have done some miracle. So that's the reality. Just like Karada Mumani saw his own manifestation of his yogic power and he got astonished. Like that, when people saw Prabhupada come back to India with his Western disciples, and that too, not one or two of them, hordes and hordes of them, hundreds of them, people, the whole of India got astounded. What is this that this Bhaktivedanta Swami has done? What magic has he done that all these Westerners whom we are imitating, they are all wearing Vaishnava dress and they are coming and preaching to us to read Bhagavad-gita and chant Hare Krishna. And that is how the whole of India got shaken up when Prabhupada in the 70s brought back all his Western disciples. Nobody could comprehend how can somebody do something like this? Actually, nobody has done this before. Not even Ramarajacharya and Madhvacharya have achieved this. None of the greatest acharyas that India has seen has done this extent of preaching work that Prabhupada did. It's amazing. Nobody has done it till now, nobody will do it in the future also. It's not possible. So, Prabhupada exhibited a certain mystic power which common people nobody can do. And so, that kind of power which Prabhupada manifested was not Vibhuti. Vibhuti is all material power which many people can manifest. But what Prabhupada showed, displayed, was spiritual power. Prabhupada came with that power to execute a certain mission of Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, he was specifically empowered by Krishna to be able to carry out the task. And when somebody exhibits such power to carry out the mission of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is not called Vibhuti, it is called Shakti Avesha. So, such Shakti Avesha personalities, there are many personalities like Parashurama. Parashurama was also a Shakti Avesha avatara. He came with the power to be able to subdue the inimical kings, and that is how 21 times he rid the earth of all the Kshatriya kings. All alone. Such incredible power he displayed. So there are many Shakti Avesha avataras like that. So Srila Prabhupada also exhibited such wonderful power which was meant for carrying out the mission of Krishna, and so that is called Shakti Avesha. They are Avesha, they are invested with power directly by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to carry out wonderful activities which common people cannot perform. So, when great yogi or some material personality displays some wonderful power, generally what happens is it inspires awe and veneration in the people. Suppose today some yogi were to create a castle in the air like Karada Mumani did, what will happen? People will come running from all over the world, they will fall at his feet, they will worship him, they will they will respect him so much. Even in the material world, you see somebody who is very famous. If we come across somebody who is very famous, immediately we'll become very respectful to that person. Some political person comes, some minister, some chief minister comes, everybody gets up and everybody talks to them and deals with them very respectfully, because people recognize this vibhuti, this power this person possesses is not ordinary. So when we also, devotees also, when we come across some people, powerful, materially powerful people, some are materially powerful to be able to accumulate wealth, they become very rich. Some people are become politically very powerful. Some people are intellectually very powerful. So like this, some people are artistically very powerful. They may be able to exhibit different kinds of artistic capabilities, which is extraordinary. Somebody may be a good singer, somebody may be a good painter, somebody may be a good dancer. All this is artistic power that they are displaying. So when such people come, we also accord a lot of respect to them. Suppose we hear some minister is coming, we all will get ready. Oh, we have to have a garland, we have to have a bahumana, we have to give him prasadam, we have to do this, we have to do this, how to receive, who will receive him, how will he bring him, and we have to make him sit in a proper place, and we have to serve some prasadam to him. We also respect such materially powerful people. But the difference between an ordinary person, common mass of people, when they respect such people, and when we devotees respect such people, there is a difference. What is that difference? When a common man sees such a powerful person, he thinks that this person is possessing that power, it is his power, and so therefore I have to show my respect to him so that I can get something from him. Whereas we devotees, when we respect a materially powerful person, a person who is exhibiting some extraordinary power or ability, we respect him with the understanding that this power which he is displaying is a vibhuti of Krishna. And so when we respect that person, our respect is actually for Krishna's power. It is for Krishna. So why we should not respect a person who exhibits such power? Because after all, Krishna has blessed him with that power. For whatever reason, for whatever punya karma he has done, it is still Krishna's vibhuti. And so we respect that power or ability in a person, and we respect him. And our idea of respecting and taking care of the person is to give him also an opportunity to utilize his power in the service of Krishna. And by doing that, he may get some sukriti and he may spiritually benefit from that. So whenever as devotees, whenever we see somebody very powerful or somebody exhibiting some capability or ability which is extraordinary, we have to immediately remember this verse of Krishna. Yad yad vibhutimat sattvam Srimad urjitam evava tattadeva avagachatvam mama tejomsa sambhavam. Whatever he is displaying is a small spark of the splendor of Krishna. Krishna's splendor is unlimited. His power is unlimited. It cannot be measured. It is immeasurable. And all of us are actually drawing from his power. Little, we are drawing the power and we are displaying it, and we are becoming proud and arrogant, thinking that I am very powerful. But actually that's not the reality. All of us are drawing little, just like we have all these fans and lights burning. How are all these fans and lights burning? Because of power, electricity, electric power. So small amount of electric power is required to run all these fans and lights. Now where is this electric power coming from? It is coming from the powerhouse, which has huge stock of power, and it is distributing that power to all the households in this city of Chennai, spread over several square kilometers. How many innumerable thousands and thousands of households? They are all getting power from that one powerhouse. Somebody has more power. Somebody is running an industry. He wants 100 kilowatt of power. Somebody is living in a flat. He needs about 5 kilowatt of power. So everyone is utilizing that power which is available to him and running various equipment and appliances. If there is 5 kilowatt power in a house, he can run a fridge, one television, have one geyser, have some light and fan, one AC. Now you go to some IT park, they have got 500 kilowatts, half a megawatt of power available with them. The whole building will be air conditioned. You can never imagine in a house that with the power in the house, you can never run the entire air conditioning in a big IT, skyscraper building. That building may have a lakh of square feet, fully air conditioned and all that. So, but then that building is able to do it because they have got power to that extent. They have a half a megawatt of power so that they are able to run that equipment. So, according to the power that is available now, that IT building which is drawing half a megawatt of power and this flat or house which is drawing 5 kilowatt of power, both of them are drawing the power from the same powerhouse. And the powerhouse has many gigawatts of power. And it is distributing to so many buildings and houses like this. But both the house and that IT building, they are drawing power from the same source. Similarly, in this material world, all the vibhutis displayed by various people as well as by material nature, they are all drawn from a common source, which is Krishna. Yadyad vibhutimat sattvam Srimad Urjitam evava mama tejomsa sambhavam. And all the vibhutis you combine together, whatever you see in this universe, it will be just a small fraction of Krishna's power. So you can imagine how much powerful Krishna is. So, whenever we see the vibhutis of personalities in this material world, or we see the vibhutis exhibited by material natural phenomena, we should not get carried away. We should immediately appreciate the power of Krishna behind this, which is making this happen. And so a devotee, whenever he sees anything, when he appreciates Krishna's power behind this, he always remains in remembrance of Krishna and he never forgets Krishna, and thus every moment the devotee experiences the bliss of seeing Krishna every moment in his life. So, this is whenever we see anything powerful or wonderful, it is an opportunity for us to remember Krishna and to experience the bliss of bhakti, devotional service to him. So, I will stop here. If there are any questions or comments, we can discuss. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Actually, whenever scientists and people who are educated in modern science, when they read the descriptions of superior technology in the past,
yes.
So the question that comes from them is, can we learn from the Vedas the mechanism behind that so that we can also be able to do that?
Yes.
Or are they just descriptions saying that there is some mystic power? So rather than if we would know, because there was some Indian Science Congress where somebody tried to present about Vimanas and all those things. So first question they asked us, can we make that now using the descriptions?
It is possible. Even today, whatever Kardama Muni exhibited, we can also do, provided. Just like in today's world also, building an aircraft, building an aeroplane, we see aeroplanes flying around all day. So, building that aircraft, if as a common man, suppose I am an uneducated man, I see an aircraft going in the sky, and somebody tells me that this aircraft is built by human beings like you and me. So, can I also build? Yes, you can also build, provided first you undergo the education, become an aeronautical engineer, then you get trained, and then you can build. Otherwise, you cannot build. Being an uneducated, illiterate, you cannot build. Isn't it? So, similar way, knowledge given in the Shastras, Vedas also require qualification for a person to be able to utilize them and to demonstrate the kind of things, the kind of activities which are as they are described in the Vedic scriptures. Exactly the way Kardama Muni built a castle in the sky, even today we can do that, provided we follow all the processes that Kardama Muni followed of Ashtanga Yoga and come to the point where we go through the processes, that is pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, come to the stage of samadhi, be able to see Vishnu in front of our eyes, then we obtain that power, then we can also do whatever Karda Mumuni did. Not impossible. The point is, whatever is described in the Vedic scriptures, to be able to show that kind of power, one has to be qualified. And that qualification is not like modern day qualification. Modern day qualification, I go to the college and I get a degree in my hand, and based on whatever IQ intelligence I have, I can comprehend that, and I can also engage science and technology in doing various things. But Vedic knowledge is not like that. In today's modern science and technology, the acquirement of that scientific and technological knowledge is not dependent on the character of the individual. You will see even terrorists are also obtaining that knowledge, how to make a bomb. Even scientists are also doing. So character of the person is immaterial. Somebody may be a womanizer, he may be a drunkard, even he can engage that scientific and technological knowledge. But when it comes to knowledge covered in the Vedas, the character of the person is very, very important. The character of being able to control one's senses, to be able to control one's mind and engage it in the pursuit, in spiritual pursuit, that is what bestows the knowledge, the capability to utilize that knowledge. And so therefore, such highly qualified people like Karda Mumuni are not there in today's world. And therefore, we are not able to see a display of the kind of powers that Karda Mumuni displayed in today's world. That's the reality. Okay. Anybody else has anything else to say? So we'll stop here then. Grantharaj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.